I'm going to start off by showing you our new offices. So if you watched last week's episode, you'll see that we've had new offices installed, and I did promise a grand tour. So we got the steps in last weekend. So let's get you up here and show you the layout of the offices, and then what I'll do after that, I'll show you what's left in the old offices. So, new office with Andrea, dog beds for the two dogs that are not here in a minute. We finally made it and got a sofa in the office, which has caused some comments why Gavin wants a sofa in the office. But anyway, that's my desk, Andrea's desk. Lauren sits here, Richard sits here, Melissa over the back, and then we've got a spare desk here, and then coming through into here, this is now our meeting and training room. We've got a kitchen work surface sink in the corner, which has still got to have a tap plumbed into it, so we can make teas and coffees up here. But this is going to be our meeting room. We've got a big telly in here for presentations or showing customers CAD models, that sort of thing. A nice big table in the middle, much bigger than the old one, so we can get more people in to a meeting. We've also had some custom artwork done, just to keep people motivated and to sort of show some of their core values and things that mean a lot to us here at Spitfire. So that is us in the main office up here. What I'll do now is I'll run you downstairs and show you what's left in the old office downstairs. So old offices, we've had these about 3 years now. So we've got toilets in there for the lads in the yard. And then in the main office here, we've got an open plan office in here. Paul's now sitting here. And I think 2 of these desks are going to be put away in storage just to open this up in here. But we've got plenty of space in here now. That was Andrea's office, that's now a spare office. George's office is in here. So this used to be my office. So he's got that in there now. So all the CAD designs get done in here. Paul does the purchasing here at Spitfire. So he sits down here. So he liaises a lot with George on different materials. This is our small meeting room. This is where me and Andrea was sat until we had the new offices. I sat at the end, Andrea sat over here. So we had this as our small meeting room, and that will remain as such. So whenever we start a new project or a new job here at Spitfire, obviously George has drew it, Andrea and Richard and Lauren get the job over the line, and then when we're about to start the job, we have the team leaders or the people that are going to do the job, we get them in the office and they go in the small meeting room, and what we do is we do a complete breakdown of the project, so they can see the makeup of the project, how it all goes together, what it looks like when it's finished, go through the material requirements, the time requirements, which is quite important on some of these big projects, so that they know how much time they've got on these projects. And that is what we use the small meeting room for. We'll use the big meeting room upstairs these days for bigger meetings. We have a weekly meeting every week with everybody in the office. And then any smaller meetings with the lads in the workshop, or any one-to-one meetings or anything like that, they can come down here. So we've got tea and coffee making facilities in there, and then just down there, which is the corridor, goes to the 2 toilets, ladies and gents toilets at the end, which means that the small meeting room here is not quite the full length of one of the units, because we've got this corridor at the back. So to go to the one upstairs is a lot bigger than the one down here, much bigger. It's probably 3 times the size of this one now. So that gives you a bit of a flavour of the office sort of situation. Now, this business was originally started, and I was on my dining room table at home, And then we had some offices at the top of the yard, which is now the car park. And over a period of time, the roof was leaking and it just wasn't very clever. So we sold them and had the lower offices 3 or 4 years ago now, I think. And then we've just upgraded to the top. Interestingly, this blue sign here was done about 3 or 4 years ago when we had the first office, right? And it's been kicking around and nobody's put it up. And it's just, in the end, we ended up repainting it and putting it up. So it's taken 4 years and it was here. So it took 4 years to put it up there, and now we've had to move it up there. So yeah, 3-4 years to get it put up. It'd been up a month, and then we moved it. So good morning, and this week is install week for the Mayglass Raptor. So we've loaded up this morning. I didn't film it because it was dark around the back. Got some lights around the back, but it's still a little bit dark, so I didn't film it. It's all loaded up. We've got an Arctic behind it, just there. Is the Hiab. He's got the bunker panels on. So they're heading off now down to Mayglass. We've got Rob and Steve following down in the van. They've got a few bits and bobs in the van to go on it. So they're going to follow down and start the install on this. And I should be popping down later on this morning to catch up with them this afternoon. So I'm just trying to catch up with the lads now. I'm a little bit later than I wanted to be, leaving the yard to go down to Mayglass. The lads are on site assembling it all and putting it all together now. So I'm just on my way down there to catch up with them and just see it all installed and see it all run up. Have a word with the guys at Mayglass, make sure they're happy with it and get sorted bits and bobs down there. We've just had our weekly meeting. We have a weekly meeting every Monday and we discuss all the current projects, stuff that's coming up, stuff that's just finished. And we get together as a team, so everybody in the office, and normally Archie and JMO, if they're there, they come into the meeting as well, so we can discuss all the current projects. And we've got a couple of new orders came in last week and the week before, I think, and it was a machine that I spoke about in a previous episode. And what we're doing is, if you've been watching our channel and you know what I mean by our mini screens, our E21s and E21Cs, it's going to be a smaller version of that. We've wanted to, for some time, to develop a smaller compact screen that potentially could be tucked around the back of somebody's house. If you're a landscaper or you want to do patios at the back of somebody's house and you wanted to screen the sub base of the patio, our mini screens are probably a bit too big to get around the back of somebody's house. So we've had one inquiry from a guy that does high-end landscaping down in London. That inquiry came in, as well as another one for a fertiliser company down near Dorset. They're sort of on the Dorset and Somerset border down there. And they both inquiries came in at virtually the same time. And we looked at it and thought, well, these are both very similar sort of deck screens. And it's a deck screen that we've looked at in the past, but sometimes when we spoke to people about this particular product, thought it was a very limited market. So that's why we've never done it before. But it was an idea that we'd had for, probably goes back 3 or 4 years now, that if somebody rang up and said, could you do your mini screen but smaller? As a company, we said we'd like to do that at some point, but we didn't think it had got the mass market appeal of the mini screens. So what we've done is we've designed a smaller, slimmed down version. Now our mini screens, the E21s and E21Cs, it's 21 because it's 2 meters long by 1 meter wide, the screen deck. So this one is going to be, I think from memory, it's 1200mm long by 600mm wide. The one for the landscaper is going to be on wheels, so it'll be like a sack barrow you can lift up and sort of wheel it in the back of somebody's house. And then that will have a separate demountable conveyor that will be made from aluminium, so it'll be light enough for 2 people to pick it up and slot it in. And the one for the fertiliser company, they are going to use it as part of their quality control process, as sort of a backstop, so that the product that actually goes out is actually the fertiliser with no clumps or anything in it, so it's part of their quality control process.
They felt that they just need that extra little bit in their system, so they've asked for us to build them a screen deck, just in case there is anything oversized in there that shouldn't be there. It gets it out. So we've done the designs, we've submitted the designs to those two companies. They've both approved it, they've both placed the order, and that will be going through the workshop in the next few weeks. So George is just tidying up the designs into a position where they can be put through to the workshop. Material is being ordered, and you should see them coming up in a few weeks' episodes. So here we go, main glass recycling install. I've got here, and the lads have already got it in position. They're just bolting it down to the floor. We've just had it running. They're just making some final adjustments. I'd like to show you the material they're going to put through this trommel. So this is the glass that they're going to put through. This, looking at it, looks like it is like glass shelves inside fridge freezers, that sort of thing. And if you see, it's a very small glass product, which is why they're going to use it to break it up into smaller pieces of glass, and that will go through the trommel meshes. They've also got another set of trommel meshes over there as a spare. That's the bigger size. But here's another pile. You can see the actual sections. Toughened glass, but if you tap it on the edges, I'm sure it will break. So we're just going to get this finished, bottomed up now, bolting it to the floor, and then we'll put some material through it. So first bucket going in, let's see what she does. Taken that product, a mixture of plastic and glass from fridge units, and we've created two piles. So one pile is all that glass broke up, and the other pile, this end, is all the plastic frames. Done exactly what they wanted it to do. They're also looking at other applications for this. They're also looking at other machines they need as well, and they're talking to us. That shouldn't be in there apparently. That's a piece of laminated glass, like a windscreen. So that's also another benefit of this. It's going to separate laminated glass from the glass that they've got here, this toughened glass. So yeah, that's a result, that is. Customers happy. They're going to set into that pile tomorrow with anger, and then when they're done that, they're going to have a crack at that one as well. So best of luck to them tomorrow, see if they can get it done in a day. Other news this week, I think I mentioned last week or the week before, we'd just purchased a brand new van for part of one of the service engineers. That should be with us this week. The van is now in with the dealer, having its plywood lining put in inside. It's booked in to go to the signwriter's end of this week. So we'll probably pick that up either Wednesday or Thursday this week and either take it straight to the sign writers or bring it back to the yard and then take it to the sign writers, depending on how that falls. Paul's ordered the flooring inside because we have proper fitted flooring inside, so that if anything gets dropped on the floor, it's a hard wearing surface. If there's any oil spills or anything like that in the back of the van, it just protects the flooring in the van. And also the racking has been ordered for that as well, so that should be in this week. Something else we've got to sort this week. Had a phone call from Dave at D&J last week and he has broke his trommel. Can't blame Dave for this one, however much I'd like to. One of the tensioners, the chain tensioner that keeps the chain tension on the drum, has actually split. It's a bought-in component that we use. Not 100% certain what's gone wrong, but it's actually split and broke. I'll get Andrea to put a picture on now. So Paul's sourced a replacement for that this morning. Need to get somebody up there this week to get that swapped and changed. And Dave is also doing a little job for us. We've got, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, we're making some IBC frames for a good local customer of ours. They've ordered 10, but they will probably want between 200 and 300 over the next 2 years. So basically it's a frame, you'll put an IBC, I'm assuming it's having water in the IBC, I don't know for certain. So they'll have a frame that the IBC will sit inside, and then they will use a forklift or a machine through some lifting points at the top that are going to be used to lift them about on site. So we've got to, once we've built them, we've got to do a test on them, and we're getting somebody coming in to do what's called a Lola inspection. Now a Lola inspection is basically like an MOT test for lifting devices. So your straps and anything to do with lifting has to be tested every 12 months. You also have a Lola test on cherry pickers, scissor lifts, that sort of thing. They're every 6 months, or they were. I don't know if they've been changed, but the last time I looked, they were every 6 months. So if you're lifting a person, it's every 6 months. If you're lifting an item, it's every 12 months. And because we're building these from new, we need to get them tested. So whilst we're up with Dave at D&J fixing his trommel, we've made some boxes, some simple metal boxes that we're going to drop off to Dave, and he's going to put some concrete in for us. He's got a digital way loader on his loader. Is it called Little Red, Big Red? Can't remember now. But he's got that on his machine, so once he's put concrete in it, he'll be able to weigh them for us. We've already worked it out on our CAD, on the SolidWorks CAD software. We can actually tell the software what the material is going to be. So we've worked out what the weight is of the metal box and the volume inside the box for the concrete. And in theory, if we fill the box full with concrete, let it go off, we should end up with, I think they need to be 718, 720 kilos, something like that. So we'll confirm that with Dave's way loader once he's done, and then what we'll do, once they're back in the yard, we'll have some stencils made up of whatever the weight is, so that we can mark the test weights up as a known weight. And then those two test weights will be used to do the Lola test on the boxes. So what we'll do, once we've made the IBC frames, part of the test is going to be to put two test weights inside the frame, and then we'll lift it up and it'll check the structural integrity of the frame and the lifting points and everything else that goes with it. But we've got somebody coming in to do that. So we'll make the frames up, we'll do our own test weight on the first one to make sure everything's okay, make the other 9 because the initial order is for 10, and then we'll get a company in to come and do a Lola test for a fixed price on all 10 units. So the plan is to get the boxes up to Dave this week, and hopefully he'll turn them around and we can get them back next week. Material is now in for that job. Colin is cutting that now, and once he's got everything cut, we're going to get it jigged up, get the frames made up, and then next week we will do a test on the initial one just to make sure everything's okay, which we think we will. Can't say there's been a problem with any of it. And then what we'll do is we'll get them all finished, get them all painted, and then the following week we'll get the guy in to do the Lola testing so that they can be delivered in just over 2 weeks' time. So a bit of a tight deadline on that one, but it's all under control and we know what we're doing on that.
So that was the Mayglass Raptor install. Met all the family down there. It's run by 2 brothers and their dad. Other members of the family are involved. Real nice family business, a bit like ours. Lots of different members of the family involved. So we appreciate their business and I hope that that goes well for them. And they've got some other bits and bobs in mind, in the back of their mind. So we'll see what happens there. So that's the oil tank and the bottom gravity conveyor loaded. That's now on its way up to site. The conveyor on top is just a gravity roller that's going to fit at the end of the main pallet conveyor. So we've got the chain conveyors across the top, then some powered rollers, and the very last section is just a gravity conveyor. So that means that the rollers in the bed, they're not actually powered by anything, they're just simple rollers, and what they're going to do is the pallets will get pushed onto that. So that's now off to site. JMO and Rob, I think, are following it up in the van. They're going to unload this, put that into position, and they're also going to finish putting together the oil screen. So let's hope they get some photos and some videos and show you what it looks like when it's in position. So, let's have a quick look around the workshop and see where we are with different bits and bobs. So the lads have started to put together the pallet conveyors. Now on these pallet conveyors, there's a dog leg that goes down, so that'll go straight down here, sweep her through this 45-degree bend, go straight again, sweep through another 45s, and then continues straight. So the actual pallet conveyor will do that, come across and continue down, just so it fits in against other machinery. So that's what this part here is. Now on both of the 45s, these are all powered rollers. So what you've got in here, you've got this electrical connection here, and inside this roller is a small motor and gearbox. So you put electric to it and this will turn. Each of these will turn. And as we've said before, on these, on the straights, because it's on a curve, we can't get a belt in there. So we've gone for individual powered rollers. But on the straights, you've got these what they call power bands. So we've got, which one have we got on here? You can see there's a wire on that over there, where we have got a powered roller in here with this wire on it. So this powered roller here and this one here. So this one here will power all these rollers and that one will power those rollers. So you have one driven roller that then powers some idler rollers. So that's the S shape in here. Let's just go inside the workshop and see what they've got in there. But before we do, box screen EB215, we've got a customer that's got a specific product that they want to screen, and they're due to come into us at some point this week to put some material over this screen deck. We've knocked up a 5mm mesh for them to go on here, just as a trial. We had some mesh made over, and we've just folded a bottom piece. This wouldn't actually go as a screen because we've actually just welded it on here, which isn't the best because this is high tensile wire and this is normal mild steel, and it won't last forever, but it's just good enough for a trial that we're doing for the customer. Just want to run some material over it and have a look at it. But I thought I'd show you that because these are part of our range of screens. Not our most popular model, but is a model that we do here at Spitfire. We developed this screen as a cost-effective single-deck screen for people that had got a front loader, so like a compact tractor or a bobcat or something like that. So you can actually load material onto here. Oversize comes down here, and the screen material goes into the bunker underneath. So yeah, just thought I'd show you that. So in the main workshop, the lads have started making the IBC lifting frames. I think I mentioned this last week. IBC lifting frames is basically an IBC is going to go in here. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, we seem to be obsessed with IBCs. It's not intentional, it's just the way the work comes up. We've got IBCs for draining oil, and now we've got IBCs with water in to go on building sites. There's an order for 10 of these frames. So what the lads have done, they've made a jig up for this frame on the bottom. It's just 4 bits of angle iron. Made a jig up for that, which basically, they've moved it out now, but basically it's a flat plate on the bench, and then you have little box section up stands that you would weld like that. So you'd have a flat plate on the bench, weld some box section up stands in the right places, so when you actually put your 2 bits of angle iron coming into there and one to there, this is just your extremities, so you just clamp it to that, and that would just be a simple jig for replicating a frame. So once you've made the jig, you can just have all your material cut, you put the pieces in place until it all touches, you just tack it up and weld it. Because if you were just doing one, you would put 4 pieces on a bench, tack it, square it up corner to corner, and you'd weld it up. But when you want to do multiples, you need a jig. So you'll get geared up and make a jig so that you can just put the pieces in. You know it's all going to be square because it's touching, and away you go. So that's what they've done on this. There's also on the side, so we've also got another jig that we made up to go up here, across the top, down this other side, with this middle bar in, because that is identical to what's underneath at the bottom. And then once you've got those sections made up, so you've got that top frame, the bottom frame, and this frame here, you would then just assemble it together, and then you've got 2 more bits of box section to go in, and they go in relatively easy. So that's the frames made up. We've got 10 of these to make. Thanks, Rob. So we've got another 2 here. How many of these have we done now? Have we got more of these done outside? Are these the last ones?
Yeah. No, they're not done. They're all tacked together.
They're all tacked up. They just need finishing welding. Luckily, we've got Steve welding, and luckily Rob's just helping. No, Rob's a good welder. I take the mick out of him, but he is a good welder. So these are the other frames up here. These are all tacked together. So they're pulling these in one by one, welding them up, finishing them off. And then Dave at D&J has got the 2 boxes that he's going to fill with concrete for us, and I'm going to go and pick them up early next week so we can get them back and get them tested. And then we can get them tested. We've got a Lola man coming in next week, who is actually known as the Lola man. So he's going to come in next week and put a certificate on each of these for us, and then the customer can have them the following week. Jam's doing some running repairs on his van. That's including an angle grinder, so that looks interesting. New lower wishbones, I think, by the looks of it. I'm working with him is Lee, the new guy, who's going to go in the new van when that turns up later on in the week. So Sean's been in this week, and wired up the first chain conveyors. So he's got it all wired up. We're laying it all out so we can have a go with it. Now we're going to get this working properly next week, so you'll see in the next episode how all this works. But we've got some sensors on here that will detect the pallet when it comes along, and then that will talk to this conveyor to make sure that we don't feed pallets on from this conveyor to that one. But we'll go through that in the next episode when it's all up and running. He's got it all wired up at the minute, but this is going to have to be disconnected for transport. But we've got Unistrut down the side, cable tray down the sides, so that the cable can be connected to it when it's properly installed. We've got the 2 plates in here for the walkway going across. But in running it up, Archie has encountered a bit of a problem. So if I show you this end, because it's relatively narrow in here, we've got this piece in here that the chain rolls around. So it rolls around here. But we didn't initially put a chamfer on both sides. Now a chamfer is like a slight angled piece to use as a guide. And in here, I don't know if you can see that, it's actually quite square in there because we wanted to keep it as wide as possible to support these rollers. But in running it up, we've found out that this chain is starting to climb up and over. So what we've done is I just took this one out and got Colin to machine it down and put a chamfer on it so that it acts as a guide. So as the chain's coming in, if it's slightly misaligned, the chamfer will bring it back in line. So I'm going to try that and see if that resolves the issue. It's not a big issue, but one that obviously does need resolving because we can't have the chain riding up. It was riding up apparently. So yeah, they're coming together now. They're all wired up. And then the air ram for the 90-degree transition is in. We've had to modify that here to make it work, and that is to be put together. And we can get that together and get that in place. That's going across here. So once that's together next week, we can get it wired in and run it up. We just got back from the sign writers with the new van. Turn that round ever so quick for us. So it's all looking nice and clean. I'm sure it won't stay like that for very long. We've had some extra stickers made for Jam's van and also fitted on here for the company that we work on behalf of, hence why we've got another service van. But we've stuck with the same branding as the last van we had. That's the one that we had, when did we have that? Last year, 18 months ago, I think that one. So we've stuck with the same stickers, so it's all on brand. So this will go to Lee, the new service engineer, and as you know, Jam's got a white Transit, which isn't on brand for us as a business now. So what we'll probably do is look at changing that next year. But where Jam lives, he parks his van under an archway and round the back out the way, which I like, is good. And he's got the facility to do that, and he can't get these vans under the archway. So what they do, I was speaking to the sales guy the other day, they do a lower version, which comes in at that height, I think he said, just above the door. So we'll probably get the dimensions on that and see if that works for Jam. And then probably in the new year, we'll probably get one of them on ordered and get the white Transit chopped out so that we'll have them all looking the same. Trying to keep it in our company colours so they are all identical. So yeah, I like that. That's good. Okay, so that's nearly it for this week. Sorry it's not been very action-packed. You got me talking quite a bit in this one. This week, we have confirmed a new product that is being done in collaboration with another person. It's something that I've hinted on before. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we're looking to have it done for early part of next year, because in the first part of next year, there is a show, and we want to go to the show and show this new product off. So keep watching for that. We've also confirmed this week that we will be making another eco sorter for stock. We've got a huge amount of interest in it, but it's a relatively new product. People want to see it, have a look at it and walk around inside it. So we have committed to build another one of them, and that will start being done and will be done in the early part of next year. Now, fun fact time. This week, I got a kick in last week. Not a bad kick in, but I did get a bit of a kick in because I got my bridges mixed up. I got my London Bridge and my Tower Bridge mixed up. So thank you for everybody that commented to put me right. I've been put back in my box. But I had a better response when I did a Concorde fact. So I've done another Concorde fact this week. So, Concorde was so loud with its sonic boom. I'm not going to try and explain what sonic boom means, because I couldn't. Look it up if you're interested. It was so loud they could only use it on transatlantic journeys between Europe and the United States, because it gave off so much noise you couldn't fly it over land. I do vaguely remember a story years ago. They used to have to fly over England at a lower speed, and then when they got over the Atlantic, they would stick the nose up, because that's what they did on that. The nose came up into position, and then they would put their foot down and crack on with it. And they did it in less than 3 hours. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But as a bonus one for this week, put in the comments what you think the most expensive ticket was for Concorde. Don't look it up and spoil it. Have a go. Let's just see what sort of numbers people are coming up with. Anyway, next week we're going to be doing questions and answers. So get some questions and answers in the comments. Like and subscribe as always, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Phone is ringing, and Archie's ringing me when he knows I'm filming. Cheers, Arch.